Welcome back. This is my very first tune, Synnistry. And yeah, she's a Galente. And she looks pretty good here. I don't know why before I thought she looked like she was beat with an ugly stick. I don't know. Anyway, the reason why I'm doing this video is because CCP has and the CSM have released a statement, and I wanted to share it with you guys and try not to say I told you so too many times. So let's get into this. Oh, and this is my ship. So this is why you saw my reaction to the Minotaur ship, because yeah, big difference there. So I'm not going to be moving around that much because I'm going to be reading. So this is the statement on behalf of CCP from the senior producer of EVE Online. Following a series of events surrounding the launch of Incarna, CCP invited the Council of Stellar Management, CSM, to an extraordinary meeting in, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, to discuss and address, it's in Iceland, to discuss and address a variety of topics ranging from ship spinning to performance to virtual goods strategies. The discussions were very productive, and both parties came to an understanding and agreement on key topics. That meeting has now ended and a firm resolution reached by both parties. CCP acknowledges that the reaction following the leaked internal communication could have been handled better. Good communication and trust between CCP and the EVE community has always been a fundamental priority for CCP and will now continue to be so. It is CCP's plan that the Noble Exchange will be used for the sale of vanity items only. There are no plans and have been no plans, as per previous communication in CSM meetings, to introduce the sale of game-breaking items or enhancements to the next store. The investment of money in EVE should not give you an unfair advantage over the investment of time. The CSM, under NDA, has been presented with CCP's plans for continued evolution of the business model and agrees that nothing they saw breaks this principle. CCP has committed to sharing their plans with the CSM on this front on an ongoing basis. CCP acknowledges that communications surrounding the launch of Virtual Goods Store should have been better. To address that, we will write up dev blogs that explain the pricing strategy of the next store and the pricing tiering system. We will also communicate that we intend to put the focus on further fleshing out the lower price range and give visual examples of upcoming items. The CSM raised concerns with performance running multiple clients after the Incarna launch, where the minimum hardware spec will only support one client logged in when in a station environment. CCP will work on creating a minimum hardware spec that supports multiple clients, but wants it to be clear that the current minimum specifications aim at single client with low settings. The CSM has helped CCP understand the emotional connection players had with ship spinning. They vehemently demanded the return of the feature, which CCP committed to introduce in some form at a future date. Until the functionality is added back in, the option to load station environments will remain in the setting menu. We are very pleased with the results of the meeting and appreciate the commitment to EVE the CSM members have shown by attending the meeting on such short notice. Yes, these people had to leave their families, fly, some of them are in the United States, fly to Iceland to deal with this. People ought to be ashamed of themselves, I'm serious. Okay, now this is the CSM's response. The CSM has come to this name in Iceland that I cannot say because I will screw it up, for this extraordinary summit to address the cloud of suspicion and fear which descended upon CCP and the EVE community in the aftermath of the Incarna expansion and the various internal leaks. Now, I think the cloud of suspicion and fear was a very good, accurate way to put it. The issues we have addressed and discussed are with CCP are captain's quarters. We discussed the hardware and lighting issues within these captain's quarters, and we are satisfied that they are being addressed. We are pleased when Torfi, T-O-R-F-I, announced that the current disabled Incarna door will be replaced with an environment that will provide similar functionality and performance to the pre-Incarna hangar, and this environment will be available until Incarna performance is similar to pre-Incarna performance. While the final details and timelines have not been worked out, ships will once again spin all over New Eden. The Noble Exchange, debacle. We were shocked and appalled to discover how badly the planning and implementation of the Noble Exchange was executed. Despite the fact that they did not have enough assets of the right types to do a proper rollout, they launched anyway. The CSM believes that if CCP had properly communicated the details of their vanity goods pricing strategy and had sufficient low-tier items available at launch, the controversy would have been greatly reduced. CCP will issue a dev blog in the near future explaining their vanity goods strategy and how it will be implemented in the Noble Exchange. Game-affecting virtual goods. We are convinced that CCP has no plans to introduce any game-affecting virtual goods, only purely vanity items such as clothing and skin ships. We have been repeatedly reassured that there are no plans for gold ammo, ships which have different statistics from existing common hulls, or any other feared game-destroying virtual goods or services. We have expressed our deep concern about potential gray areas that the introduction of virtual goods permits, and CCP has made a commitment to discuss any proposals that might fall into those gray areas in detail with CSM at the earliest possible stage. The Fearless Greed is Good leak. We accept CCP's position that Fearless is a deliberately controversial internal publication that does not represent the policy of CCP management or of CCP Zulu, the senior producer of EVE Online, nor the direction of game design. The leaked the Hilmar Global email. We are appalled by the leaked Hilmar email and the atrocious and out-of-touch messaging it contained. We sympathize and agree with those players offended and disgusted by it. And then Zulu's Angry Friday blog. We are disappointed by the tone taken in Anar's blog, but we understand that he was in a state of extreme agitation and reacting to the leaks coming from within his company, which he saw as a breach of trust. While we may disagree with some of his decisions, we are united in our support of Anar as the senior producer and are pleased with his follow-up apology blog. We hope that his statement today will begin to restore your trust in his leadership and vision. We believe that the situation that has unfolded in the past week was the perfect storm of CCP communication failures, poor planning, and sheer bad luck. Most of these issues, when dealt with in isolation, were reasonably simple to discuss and resolve, but combined they transformed a series of errors into the most significant crisis the EVE community has yet experienced. We hope that this meeting will be the first step in the restoration of trust between CCP and the EVE community, and we will keep the community informed as to CCP's efforts in delivering on commitments they have made to us and to you. Now, I told you they were not going to do anything that stupid. And honestly, what they should stop doing is having discussions about the future of their business with their employees. That is the biggest mistake that companies can make, because as you saw, employees are not knowledgeable enough and don't have the wisdom to make those decisions. It's really that simple. And this is not to, you know, disrespect any of their employees or anything like that, but you hire an employee to do a specific job. Content design. That's their area of specialty, not how should we grow this company. That's not their expertise. Have your employees focus on what they're good at what they, you know, what you hired them for. Don't ask them off-the-wall questions on, well, what do you think we should do? Because the content web designer said, oh, you should pay for faction. Why not? That's not his place. That's not her place. That's not their place. Their job is to once a decision has been made, to implement those things in the most efficient manner. So a lot of this wouldn't have happened if CCP had the right conversations with the right people. That said, just because somebody has a conversation doesn't mean that they're going to do what was talked about. Have you never had a conversation and said, I'm going to do such and such and such and such, and then never did it? Or have you ever asked for an opinion and not taken it? This is what happened here. CCP is not stupid. They're not going to, introduce game-breaking stuff when they're doing something that's never been done before. This game is by far, in many ways, light years ahead of others. And they're trying to do something that most games will not touch, and that's leveling based on time, because that in itself is a put off to many new users, because you can never catch up unless the old guard or the veterans subscribers stops skilling up for some reason. But that's the essence of the game, and there are other ways that you can make new people feel like they're contributing, because I've been very blessed to receive help in game, and I'd like to help back, but I know I am like meaningless in this world, just completely meaningless, because there's nothing that I can do to be able to reciprocate the help that I have been given for years. That in itself is frustrating to me, extremely frustrating. And I think there's something that they can do with that, but I never as a new player felt that I should be able to buy a ship that would put me on track with someone else, even though that ship would end up being blown up within like minutes. Because in this game, when you buy a virtual item and you die with it, it's gone. It's just gone. It's a roughed world. So even if they were to do that, it would not have the same effect that it would on other games. But I never for 1 minute thought that they would, do anything like that. At most, I thought if they were to put in a ship in the game, it would be like the Spectral Horse in WoW. Yes, it scaled up with you, but it was geared for people who have alts, who keep rolling lower level alts so that they have a mount. As an engineer in World of Warcraft, one who made other people's mounts, my income did not drop because the Spectral Horse came out. None at all. It's because your money comes in from, the higher priced items, and it did not have an impact on the economy at all. And I seriously doubt if they were to introduce a similar to one of these starter ships that you get for free in the tutorial, it would not be a game-breaking thing, but it would be a way for, if you run out of ISK, for people to be able to have a ship. So, but they said that they're not even doing that, and they had no intention of doing it. So that's, what's really sad to me is that the trust, I don't know what happened that caused the trust to break down so much. But to me, I completely trusted CCP. I was more than proud of the CSM representing us. I felt so bad that the CSM was being dogged and, criticized, and just horrible. It was just absolutely horrible. And one of the things that I think that might be the cause, it's because technically in the game you can act like a dick, because it's, that environment, but there is no excuse to act like a dick to somebody that doesn't deserve it in real life. There just isn't. And there is no excuse to take that attitude off of the game and into real life and start accusing people of doing something that they never intended to do. And that is something that I have zero patience for. Zero. If you accuse me of something, you best damn be sure, because that's it. We're done. I would have personally refunded each one of those people's refund. I would have refunded them. They wouldn't have had to unsub. I'd have been like, get the fuck out, bye. Because I do not allow people treat you the way you allow them to treat you. Okay? I don't mind negative criticism. I don't expect people to agree with me all the time, but I expect people to treat me with respect. And part of the community was completely disrespectful. And would you believe that they're still not happy? I mean, a lot of them are like, yay, victory. But there was no victory. This is not a victory because this was never going to happen in the first place. So you can't claim victory for a war that shouldn't have never happened in the first place. Okay? But they're still like, the CSM is a joke because they've been paid off, blah, 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 blah. We're not getting ship spinning right away. I mean, there are some people that just want to have a reason to be pissed off. And it would be better for the community if they just left. Whether it be that they unsubscribe, or CCP says, okay, you really need to get out of here because you're not, because the money isn't worth it if you're causing all that drama in a community. I had a gaming community with over 1 million users, and I did not have this kind of drama in my community. There were people disagreed, and I mean, when you get that many people in one spot, it's not always roses, but they treated each other with respect. And coming forth from this, that's what I hope to see. On the WoW forums, there are kids acting like kids. On the CCP forums, on the EVE Online forums, adults should not be acting like little kids having a temper tantrum. Just because you're upset doesn't give you an excuse to act a fool. And that's what I hope, comes out of this. And, I mean, really, I was completely saddened. So anyway, hopefully, this will be the end of it. And hopefully, I mean, to me, if you don't trust the developers of the game, get out. That's a sign that the working relationship is not working. That's like people who stay in marriages and they argue all the time. You've stayed in the relationship past its expiration date. All relationships have an expiration date. Some of them are until death do us part, and others are, okay, it's done, it's time to move on. Sometimes it's 1 month, sometimes it's 6 years, sometimes it's 25 years. It's different, and you can't expect to be the target audience of a product forever. You just can't. So, I mean, haven't you, heard of people that have... here's a perfect example. I remember when they changed the formula in Coke. If you can go back that far. It was the most nastiest thing. Now, I prefer Pepsi over Coke. But even when I tasted the new Pepsi formula, it was just god-awful. I felt really sorry for people who, had to drink that mess. And they ended up having to... roll back, or they changed it to a different flavor. I don't know what they did, because like I said, I'm a Pepsi drinker myself. But you will have times when the product that you love so much is just not the same product anymore. I mean, I used to love Pontiacs, but Pontiacs just aren't made as good as they used to be. Cars aren't made as good as they used to be. Houses aren't made as good as they used to be. So it's not unusual for, the product that you've been using for a while just to not be the product you want, or it's just not meeting your needs anymore. So hopefully this will be done. I logged in. There was 42,000 people logged in. And yeah, I hope that everybody can get back to killing shit and mining shit and just having fun. But again, if you don't trust CCP, then you really ought not to be in the game. If you don't trust the elected officials of, the CSM, then eventually you're never going to be satisfied. I never agreed that there should be game-breaking items in the game, but I never thought that CCP would ever put it in there in the first place. And that's the difference. Why did I have more trust than anybody else? I mean, just looking at the facts, and I even look back at history, it just seemed like a bunch of people, making their opinions But I saw nothing from management that backed up that they were moving in that direction. Just because they released some high-priced monocles, does that mean that they were going to, you know, release gold ammo is what that's the little term phrase for it. And what I would like to suggest is that if you made that leap, if you actually thought that they were going to do something that they had no intention of doing in the first place, I guarantee you that you're also making those assumptions elsewhere. You think on that? Because I promise you that you are. And it will come back to bite you later on. So, let's look at my ship again, shall we? Yeah. It's kind of sexy, isn't it? Let's why won't my ship thing? Here we go. This was my first ship, I think. Okay, this is the Altron. Let's look at my... Yeah, I think this was my first ship. I haven't gotten very far, like I said, with this character because Incarna was launching and they were changing the tutorial thing, and I figured it would be easier to just do it from Incarna. And I was a little put off because she looks a hell of a lot better right here. Her face looks sort of smushed in, but she looks a lot better here than she did on the other one. You guys tell me, which one do you like better? Do you like Synnistry or do you like Nyril? You tell me. So yeah, I think that was the very first ship that I got. Then I got this one. Am I going to be able to switch yet? Yay! Okay. Nice, isn't it? Very, very nice. This one I cannot, which looks like a long worm. I don't have the skills to be able to fly yet. Just like on my other tune, I have one that I have a Reaper. No, a Wreath. I think it's a Wreath. I can't fly that yet either. So, but look how sleek that looks. Now, as a Minmatar, I will be able to fly these. I just have to learn how to cross-train over to them, which is exactly what I'm going to do if it's a better ship. Supposedly, with the Minmatar, you are able to, you have more flexibility, but it takes more training. So, yeah. So that's it for this episode. However, I just wanted to make it very clear what CCP's intentions were for those, you know, that there are a lot of people that are looking at this because they don't play Eve, but they started to get interested in the game watching my videos. So yeah, shitstorm for nothing. So now we're all gonna go back to play, and yeah, hopefully I won't die anytime soon. So okay, I will see you guys later on the next one. Bye.